Greetings, everybody. You are tuned into It's Covered, the Insurance Podcast, because if you think that insurance is boring, then you are not doing it properly. My name's Paul.
My name's Mel.
How are you doing today, man?
I am doing great. Yourself?
Yeah, doing well. So we are actually recording this on a Monday morning. It's very exciting. It's not morning. I just realized that.
But it is Monday, and I've never heard Monday and exciting in the same sentence.
You are listening to this on Monday morning.
There you go.
Oh, gosh. So apparently it's one of those days that I can't keep track of time. So I'm glad we started on this, because apparently we're running out of time for the day. Oh, gosh. I had a customer that rang in today. And very good customer. I clump customers into different categories.
Yeah.
You know, there are the people you just never hear from again. You know, like you sell them on your service and then, 10 years down the road, you get a call from them.
Yeah.
And something's finally happened or they're canceling or some nonsense.
Yeah. They checked insurance on their list and they're like, that's done. Never have to deal with that again.
Right. Then there's, kind of minimal crowd that every once in a while needs the cards or whatever, but don't hear from very much. There's the super needy crowd. This customer's not kind of in between those last two, where I don't hear from her ridiculously often, and I never mind that I do. But she's also not just like the once every 6 months I need my ID cards.
All right.
But money's a little tight for them, and they did find a better price, and so they will be departing from us. And that's fine. That happens sometimes. I've talked to them enough to know that this might not be the worst idea for them. But at the same time, you can't help but wonder, especially when customers go to a company that does not have like a local agency that services policies.
Yeah.
That how they're going to react to that, because she's not a once every 6 months ID card type of customer.
So she would really benefit from having someone that can answer her calls when she calls in.
Right. Which is exactly what she's paying for with us.
Yeah. I think it's funny because I get calls from people when I'm talking to them, and I explain that we have an agency to help you with things. It's whenever you call, we're going to be here for you. And they've never had that before. And they go, I don't need it. From the beginning of the conversation when we're trying to sell them, they didn't need it. They do everything online usually. And then it goes forward and they botch the online part, and then you help them out. And then this person who says they did everything online, they really didn't need an agency like that, wasn't a selling point. Usually call a lot and are very happy that you're able to help them out.
Right. Yeah.
So
I find it endlessly entertaining that, there's several companies in our industry that are trying to get people to move to the online route, to quote themselves. And this job is so foundational, is so intricate that the state requires you and I to have licenses to quote a policy.
Right.
In fact, I have several. But the average Joe should be able to do this online.
Yeah.
And this is not an argument, and that I'm actually not a huge supporter of licenses, but that is a different topic for a different day. And I know that all of our listeners have just had a very important opinion jump to mind that they are going to be telling us about later, and that's fine. But, you just have to think about the claims that you have had come through your office, that people don't have the foggiest clue what these coverages do. They don't have the foggiest clue what coverages they have. And these are the people that think it's a good idea to quote themselves online.
Yeah.
Or my favorite, it's the name the price range you want to pay, and we'll tailor the policy around that.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, the coverage you need and the price range you want to pay is not usually the same thing. But yeah, it's customers like that. It's like, you know, I've heard it said by a lot of people, in a lot of different ways that, especially because we're such a regulated industry, that we're all essentially selling the same thing. And that's not totally true.
No.
But it kind of should be. You know, we should be all handling claims the same way. We should be, you know, providing, you know, the pretty much the same coverages. There are some perks here and there, you know, but the essential stuff, liability protection, dwelling protection on the home, comp and collision, deductibles, PIP and MedPay, all that good jazz.
Yeah.
They should be essentially the same. And so what is the difference? And besides the fact that, yeah, there actually is quite a bit of difference.
You know where else I hear that at?
At your mom's?
No. But you know what? Actually, that may be true. But what I was referring to, and it makes me mad every time I deal with it, is the grocery store. Because I think more people want to be a bargain shopper and want to tell themselves it's all the same. But I think more people are less willing to go forward with the, just really the fortitude to do that. So when I go down to the grocery store and I walk down the cereal aisle, I want the price of the Mr. Crunch with sweet balls.
If that's not a product, somebody please make that product.
Yes.
Somebody please, we need to get on Mr. Crunch with sweet balls.
But I look over.
It's going to go over great with the kids.
I go over, and right next to it, at $2 more, is the Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries.
Right.
I look at the price, and I try to muster the strength to go for the price, but I'm just not willing to go with what I get.
You know, and that's interesting because I am definitely one who will get the generic cereal.
Oh.
But you would have to drag me kicking and screaming into Walmart.
Oh, that's funny because it's hard to get me out of Walmart.
It's not, you know, it's like, it's not that I need help and no one's there to help me. I know no one's there to help me,
right.
But it's not like I need help. It's just, they make me angry. They make me very angry. And it's like, even going to Kroger, there are certain times a day that I avoid it.
Yeah.
Because it's all the slow people. And slow people, very naturally will, when they're bending over to get something off the shelf, they will push the cart out of the way in the opposite direction to completely block the aisle. You know, I don't think the slow people in the grocery store have any concept that they're slow and need to get out of the way.
Yeah, I know those people.
But yeah, it's like, and my wife is very much not a generic brand person. But I'm okay with that. But that's actually a really good analogy because there are differences that are tough to quantify.
Yeah.
And they have to do with normally the way we go about things.
There
So Mr. Crunch with sweet balls.
I'm going to regret that one.
You have reached the Mr. Crunch with Sweet Balls show, starring Mel.
And only Mel.
You got you're solo on this one, bud. But
that was not one of my better moments.
It's gonna be the title of this episode.
Oh man!
So what the hell was I talking about? Okay. Yes. All right. So the Mr. Crunch cereal has the same crap in it that the Captain Crunch has.
Yeah.
But it's not quite the same.
Right. Looks the same.
Yeah. But it's not quite the same. And a lot of the differences between like the stores is the level of service. Mm-hmm. The level of frustration, which is the thing that keeps me away. But I was having this conversation just the other day with a nice young man. He's I think it was like 19. Nice guy, but already has like an at-fault accident and several tickets.
Yeah,
and
typical young male.
And he was complaining that he tried to get a quote from another company that we would consider one of the high-end companies, and they did not want him. And he was complaining about that, and I said I didn't want him either. And I said that for shock value. I mean, I know the kid, so I can, this wasn't like a conversation that I'm having in the office. This is this conversation we're having in the off hours. And so I could be a little bit more blunt when we're,
right.
when we're not.
It's refreshing.
Yeah, it really is. But I explained, it's like these companies have different target audiences.
Yeah.
And that's actually a really good thing. We don't want just blanket pricing and blanket level services for everybody. Not everybody wants the local agent that they can swing by and talk to at a moment's notice. Mm-hmm. But some people are willing to pay more for that.
Yeah.
That not everybody, wants certain bells and whistles on their policy. Not everybody wants, monthly, or yearly, policy reviews or anything like that. But then on the other end, some people need more attention that, they might need month-to-month policies. They might need to, pay late a lot and that sort of thing. And one company cannot be all of these things to any person. And that's why, like with the grocery store, you see grocery stores targeted in certain neighborhoods.
Yep.
They are targeted for a certain demographic, and they cater to those, and they make their decisions based on their customer.
Right.
If they are in a poor area, they will do things that a middle class neighborhood would demand from them, but they need to cut costs in a poor neighborhood, so they make those changes.
Yeah.
Whereas an upper class neighborhood might want certain bells and whistles at the grocery store, that they're willing to pay more for.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in Minnesota for a while, the oddest thing is I was a lot younger. The first time
that normally happens in the past.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to let you know how far in the past. But first time on my own, and there was a grocery store chain that was very expensive. Now I lived in a it's funny. There's an area where when you say you're from this town, everyone thinks you have money. Mm-hmm. But there was this section on the other side of the freeway that technically I was still in that town, but it was for poor people. So I just moved there, first time on my own, first time moving up the corporate ladder, being a manager, warehouse manager type of thing. And I moved to this town because everybody said that's where you want to go. And then I found the cheapest place, which was great. But they had this grocery store that locked me in by just having carpet everywhere in the store. I don't know why that was, but I wasn't going anywhere else because other grocery stores did not have carpet. I love the way the cart rolled on it.
You're very easy to please.
It was like getting a massage. It was so nice. And then when I went somewhere else with the little wiggly wheel on the cart and I'm going over tile, I couldn't get out of there fast enough. That was just me. So I was willing to pay more to have that experience. Right. And I think with insurance, unfortunately, a lot of companies, you don't get that level of experience until after you crash into something.
And that's really the problem in our industry, is that people have an idea of what company is targeting what groups, or what neighborhoods. They have that idea. But when it comes down to it, none of us really have any idea how this experience is going to go until it's way too late.
Yeah.
If you suddenly had a bad experience at that store, the next week you're not there anymore.
Right.
But insurance is one of those things, like, you have a bad experience at our grocery store and we're keeping your car for a month.
Yeah. Exactly.
By the way, you didn't get rental because you were trying to save a couple of bucks when you did your quote online. And when you said, I only want to pay this much a month, we took that off.
Yeah.
Are you telling me you didn't have a license to quote yourself?
Yeah.
And so that's a problem. And the perception is like this guy I was talking to. We've hit on this over and over and over and over again with the customers we've seen, is that, well, this company's cheaper. Yeah, of course they are.
Right.
I mean, of course they are.
Yeah.
Everyone
knows that.
Yeah. It's like, you're going to be, they only have an 800 number. You don't have an agent assigned to you. You can look at the claim satisfaction ratings, JD Power, and they're way low. Mm-hmm. You check reviews online and everybody hates them. I mean, somebody hates all companies, but a lot of them, of course they're cheaper.
Yeah. I mean, every company gets a list of advantages for your company. I'm sure, everybody's company out there, and their advantage, I'm sure they get a list and it has big old dollar signs on it. And that's their advantage.
Yeah. And for the price shot, I mean, and look, we need those companies. We can't have all full service, high priced insurance.
Right.
We need some of the crap. Yeah. Because we want everybody to be insured. And I'm not going to insure all of them. Even if they made a line outside the door.
Right.
I don't want all their business. I mean, I'll take a healthy chunk of it, but,
yeah,
that's, excuse me, that's the perception problem, is that, well, it's insurance. I have to have it. Shouldn't your company be for everyone? And no, it shouldn't. It's much better structured like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we have to do a better job communicating that, especially when people are buying insurance, is, we need, we need to be able to be honest with people. And, and occasionally, and going out on a limb here, I don't know that everybody's going to agree with me on this point, but occasionally it might be giving a potential customer the name of a different insurance company.
Yeah.
That's not something we've done a lot, but we have done it.
Yeah. I think that's accurate. I think once you go through the licensing to become an agent or to sell insurance, you take on that responsibility that you're going to help that person. I mean, if there's a mantra or something that the state is licensing you for, they're expecting that from you. And then, of course, when you go to your specific agency, they're like, no, that goes out the window. it's about this company. But I would agree with you. I think
I honestly don't think the state cares all that much. But we'll go with we'll pretend like the state is on your side.
Yeah, but it will
for this. While the NSA is listening in on this conversation right now.
But they don't care what company you go to work for.
Oh no, yeah.
But they know you're a licensed agent or a licensed LSP, but you have to perform a certain way.
Yeah.
You have to do certain things. And I think one of those things is taking care of the public. And if you can help them out by sending them somewhere else because you know that you're not going to do that, then I think that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of it also is being honest with the customer. We've had people roll through here who have, $500,000 homes. They're self-employed and doing very, very well, and they have really nice cars, and they bring a Geico policy with them that's, 30/60 liability. And it's like, did they go through that? Oh no, I got a quote online. Okay, we need to sit down.
Yeah.
And that needs to be, that we've been put in these positions. The way we serve our neighbor is by giving them a proper amount of coverage for a fair price, or at very least advising them in that direction. Not everybody will take that advice. And there's some very wealthy people around here who insist on having state minimum coverage, but at very least giving them the guidance that they need to make an informed decision on this. And that's how we serve, the public. That's how we serve our neighbor.
Yeah.
And so that needs to be part of that conversation. It shouldn't just be, hey, I can beat this price, but it's also what coverage do you need for your life, for your lifestyle today.
Right.
And that's not the same for everybody. It's not like it's just blanket. Everybody needs this amount of coverage with this level of deductible and that sort of thing. It does take a little bit more time, but that's the job we took on. And so, I heard you earlier, pitching, hey, I think these liability limits are too low. And I couldn't hear the other side of the phone conversation because that's weird. But but then you were like, okay, well, let me see at those levels. And you pull them down because you didn't want that.
Yeah. Not all the way to the bottom, but
no.
But the level that I was recommending, it was something that he couldn't do and didn't want.
Right.
So I said, okay, well, what about this? And then he could go with that. And because we've talked about being in claims. We see the other side of it. We see the fallout. And I know one of the biggest things that I saw in claims, besides just coverage and why do I not have enough coverage in that moment, but also why is my deductible so high? Mm-hmm. They discussed it 6 years ago and,
if they discussed it.
yeah. And their mindset on deductible is, oh, that's something I have to pay if I'm 100% at fault and, I have to pay it. And then when they're 50-50 or they're saying the other person's at fault and they want to go through their own insurance, then they're arguing with you about the deductible. Why is it so high? That's too much. Right. I can't pay it. And, you need to go get your car out of, impound. I don't have the money for that. This guy needs to pay it. Well, how am I going to get to work? Well, rental coverage will do that. I don't have rental coverage. What kind of insurance is this? And then they get upset.
That's the line, isn't it? What kind of insurance is this?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, to a certain degree, we are selling cereal.
Yeah, that's right.
You got you got the plain with no crunch berries, or sugar balls. And then you go, where's the sugar balls?
That's right.
What kind of cereal is this?
Yeah.
Well, you grabbed the wrong cereal. That's not the grocery store's fault. It's not the Kellogg or whoever makes that cereal. General Mills. I don't know what it is, but or Malto-Meal.
Yeah, you're right. It's funny because they choose to not notice certain things.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask people generally, they can kind of rank the insurances and be pretty accurate.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Same thing with with cereal or whatever, but
rank the cereal next.
Yeah.
On It's Covered, the Insurance Podcast, because if you think that insurance is boring, then you haven't heard a podcast talk about cereal for 30 minutes.
We aim to be informative and tasty.
Sugar bombs.
Never getting rid of that. But it's the people, it's like they can be mad at what they purchased, and it's right there in big letters on the outside of the packaging, but they choose to ignore it. Hey, we have this, we have that. Look at the price.
I tell you what, I mean, when we were in claims, we dealt with some E&O stuff occasionally.
Yeah.
And most of the time, when I was reviewing, for E&O, I mean, that wasn't my final decision, but I'd always do a quick review of it when something was being claimed. Mm-hmm. And it was always, I'd say always, but most of the time, like 5 renewals since that change was made.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, I can't help you if you're not reading your mail.
Yeah.
I can't help you if you're not reading your mail.
That's right.
We can't do like a weekly phone call where, is no rental still okay with you?
Yeah. And we cannot do that in claims, because when a customer came to me in claims and I'm talking to them about their coverage, and then the question comes out, well, what does this cover? Well, it only does this. It only does that. Well, when is that good? Well, yeah, it's not good for you in this situation. It should have been this. Well, why did he give me that? Then we're stuck. Then it's like, I'm not going to tell him, well, you're kind of cheap and you probably told him that you wanted something cheaper and he gave you what you wanted. So that's what you get. No, you're right. Somebody's hurt in this situation.
Yeah. And that conversation might have gone one of two ways. Mm-hmm. That conversation might have gone, the agent says, well, I have 2 options for you. One is the more expensive, but it has these very critical coverages. Give me the cheap one. Well, what about the critical coverages? I want the cheap one.
Yeah.
Might have been that. Mm-hmm. Or it might have been, we can beat your current premium, sign on the dotted line.
Yeah.
And we don't know. And that's why it's so critical for us to be going into today.
Yeah.
And into every day with that mentality of, my job here is to serve my neighbor.
Right.
It's not merely to get the sale.
Right.
It's not merely to get somebody's card brought over.
Yeah.
But it's also to make sure that they're adequately protected.
Yeah.
And to advise them on coverages, on protections, on everything about this, so that when they get into an accident, they're not having that conversation with the adjuster.
Right.
Why do they write it like this?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. If you're a doctor, you give a prescription, if he chooses to go get something over the counter because he can't afford the prescription, that's up to him.
Right. Yes.
Give them good advice. What will help them in a bad situation.
Exactly. So I guess that is our call for you today, is to, there's a lot of people out there that need us to help them, to guide them, and to give our expertise that has been honed over much study, over much time, over much practice. And so, yeah, today's the day to do it, and to keep doing that, and to make that our mission in the office. And with that, we will leave you until next week. Go serve your neighbor today, and we will talk with you next Monday.
Bye-bye.